Welcome to Draconian, your podcast for news and updates in Hong Kong and Taiwan. I'm your host, William.
Hi everyone, welcome to the episode 25 of the Draconian podcast. This is your host, William. This week's episode will be about how the two cities of Hong Kong and Taiwan, or Taiwan as a region, are changing course, maybe for the good or for the worse. From Article 23 in Hong Kong to an election aftermath in Taiwan, we are witnessing a change in course on how these two very similar regions are charting for a vastly different future. If you would like to learn more about what's happening in these two regions, please subscribe to our podcast. Whether you are listening from a favorite podcast app or directly from YouTube or its music app, feel free to leave your comments and support us. Now, let's get directly into news and topics that happen in Hong Kong. So first, in Hong Kong, this topic is about the Article 23. Chief Executive John Lee Ka-chiu announced in last week that he hopes that the Article 23 could be signed into law as soon as possible, or any laws that are required by this Article 23 be signed into law. So basically, this is technically on full swing, and even with recent financial setbacks, which included a very bad performance of the Hang Seng Index since 1998, or the worst performance of the Hang Seng Index since 1998, Legislative Council members and even members of the government decided not to postpone anymore for basically drafting or making Article 23 into a law. As similar to how other legal documents to limit freedom of the people within the city, this Article 23 is just another example, or as another cause for the government to prioritize national security over economic development, or even unity within the society. As we are treading into unknown political waters in Hong Kong, we are also facing challenges relating to how Hong Kong positions itself in the globe, whether it is the world's or Asia's world city or Asia's China city. We are still seeing the choice of Hong Kong's party officials or Hong Kong's government officials to choose from a very uncertain future, or choose maybe for their own good. And the question is, are we witnessing the final change of course of Hong Kong to take place? Either to completely align with China, as we are progressively witnessing a re-education camp, or similar items or similar actions stomped in place with little to zero oversight, or we are just seeing a direct copy of the anti-rights campaigns that were hosted or that happened in China in 1956. We don't know, we do not have an answer, but definitely in the city, we are changing course, as discussed from previous weeks, education reforms, election reforms, to now directly reforms on national security. We do not know when this reform will end, and we will not know how these reforms will hurt Hong Kong's stock market. Next is about the municipal solid waste charging scheme. So, the government announced it last week about plans on those plastic bags that will be used on charging, or that citizens in the city will need to purchase from the 1st of April 2024. These plans were to directly impose this limit and basically tell people to pay for dumping things into landfills. However, due to heavy backlash on government's multiple slips on managing unconventional household waste, such as mops, or such as very oversized or lengthy items, the government decided to postpone the date of charging this new rate, or to introduce this new charging scheme from the 1st of April to the 1st of August while stressing the government's lack or the government's weakness in using video as a new medium to promote policies as a culprit of the misunderstanding and ultimately the opposition of this municipal solid waste charging scheme overall by citizens still living within the city. Furthermore, the government hoped to implement this plan to rationalize costs of dealing with municipal solid waste itself, as we are seeing landfills being filled up at a faster than assumed rate, and with no other options available. Basically, people within a citizen are discussing whether there will be any better solutions to this waste itself. But at the same time, there is a proposal to lower the rates, or to lower the Caiheng in English is rates, or municipal service rates for other people who are not residing in Hong Kong or basically this is a charge used to levied on basically municipal services. This proposal is to lower the rate to be in fact at the same time with this municipal solid waste charging scheme as an idea or as a solution to avoid double taxation, as the rates itself was originally designed to also cover up costs for dumping rubbish into landfills. Causes. So for back into this discussion, the question about this is about how we are treading into this cause. Are we changing from a general base need or a general need, or the general just a one-off rate or a general percentage rate to a needs-based system? This actually may work for some organizations, NGOs that strive for recycling. However, this actually may alienate the low income or people with very low income, as they are forced to purchase these plastic bags without a reason, or where previously they were considered as free. These courses are also changing from a general based need or a general required base to a needs-based system, and this actually may further its way on unknown waters, as we are directly seeing a direct experiment, even without any buffers, directly imposed within Hong Kong. Personally speaking, this is actually a progressive policy that may actually benefit the environment and the society as a whole. However, the ways or the method for this to be implemented is basically can be discussed thoroughly or can be placed into other discussions. These will be news and topics that will be about Hong Kong itself. So next up, we will have news and topics about Taiwan. So now it's about Taiwan. So first is about the election aftermath. After the election was hosted, a lot of officials and even members or government officials from various different countries congratulated Taiwan in hosting this election peacefully. However, this resulted in a very strong response from people outside of Taiwan or people in China on how this whole thing are being dealt with, or how they are congratulating Taiwan, albeit in its official or unofficial capacity. And it actually included a very strong statement by the Ministry of Foreign, or the Foreign Ministry of China, against Philippines, as the president of Philippines congratulated Taiwan's peaceful election. At the same time, China also used it as diplomatic pressure to press Palau to sever ties with Taiwan, officially in their name as ROC, Republic of China, by basically offering loans and basically offering money to them. This may actually create a lot of this actually reduces the amount of the amount of countries Taiwan have official foreign relations with from 13 to 12. And unfortunately, this actually affected a local examination or a local high school examination, where this question created two correct answers, as this cessation or this severance of diplomatic relations happened on the day before the test or the exam. At the same time, officials from the United States, also of course retired officials and military members, visited Taiwan to basically congratulate on this whole thing, on the peaceful election, and hope and seek for more collaboration between Taiwan and the United States, which also triggered Chinese strong reaction from China. So I hope that these will be all aftermath that happened with Taiwan, or that are related to Taiwan. However, I've never thought of this other episode will be discussing on the whole aftermath, or the whole bad, or the whole mis or malinformation that happened right after the election itself. So Cole, although ceded its defeat to William Lai from the DPP, had directly announced his intention to run for the 2028 presidential elections even before, the end of this election cycle. This is technically inappropriate and was heavily criticized by other people, as it defies not only logic and normal party norms, but also regulations that regulate how parties nominate their presidential candidates, where this should not be I can't say this should not be in election mode, but the announcement of these candidates should not be in place this early. At the same time, there are also rumors of votes being faked or votes being whitewashed, being distributed by various media, which affected how supporters of the Cole party had reacted to the party's defeat in the presidential election. For example, a very well-known YouTuber known as Alisasa Chen spread such malinformation directly in his Instagram in her Instagram reels, while being requested for basically surrendering herself to the police for investigation. She immediately fled Taiwan and took a business class trip to South Korea after the election ended. The spread of election rigging claims has actually led to a huge backlash, as it actually directly attacks the integrity of the voting system as a whole. With videotaping possible right after the end of election, this seems basically technically impossible for rigging any votes. However, for all of these recording, it may show how these election officials or helpers not following standard operation procedures, as they have continuously worked for over 10 hours by the time the votes starting to be counted. This not only created backlash, but also initiated discussions on how to improve this system. However, some requested for electronic voting, which may actually lead to more problems, while some suggested to split this whole election system, or split this whole election officials time for them to be on duty from 12 or even more than 12, in some cases 16 hours, to two parts, with each part having roughly the same amount of money that were paid when they're doing combined. However, the lack of money, or in this case, the lack of will to improve this system of official or voting officials, a system of selecting officials who will help voting, actually did not receive a lot of attention or even discussions. As a result, these are some or most of the election aftermath. As we are seeing post-seat directly seated defeats, we are seeing discussions on who will be the new premier of the executive yuan, and even various other these legislative yuan council members who lost in this election now try to not only cede his or her defeat, but also to look for reasons behind the defeat itself. Next, this is also about Taiwan, and some can say this is a byproduct of the election itself, but threads by Meta/Instagram has suddenly become the latest trend of social media within the island. This came as party officials of the ruling Democratic Progressive Party found this so-called uninterrupted space suitable to carry out some unofficial acts such as posting crap stories, posting memes, or some shorter opinion instead of long-form opinion that were commonly seen in Facebook or other platforms. There are also discussions in this thread on whether or not TikTok or Douyin should be blocked in Taiwan, as it seems like Douyin/TikTok did not actively engage in clearing out disinformation within the election period, while at the same time being controlled by an entity in the PR China. So back to threads, as this became the go-to place for DPP officials to experiment with newer, more interactive methods to communicate directly with others. Candidates from the Chinese Kuomintang or Chinese Nationalist Party and the Democratic Progressive Party also announced their intention to attack or to basically to not let people who are only supportive of the current DPP government to direct or to nearly control this whole space as a result. So this actually created some clash, not only the clash within the city, within individuals, but also a lot of long-form, short-form discussions, a lot of posts, a lot of links, and even a lot of evidences for both sides, or for all sides, all three different sides, to try and persuade each other to be supporting their side. This change, of course, seems to be a good solution, or seems to reflect on this tarnished win for the Democratic Progressive Party, as even they have won the presidential election, they did not achieve a majority control in the legislative yuan this year. So for discussions within the DPP, it actually included a lot of discussions on why they have lost the support from the youth, what they should have done better, what they should have done more, and even sometimes they are using what we can call 神回覆 or 神回复, or basically very interesting replies to try and advance their positions within threat itself. We are also seeing some aftermath of De De, son of Zheng Yunpeng, as he lost in Taoyuan, in his constituency in Taoyuan. His son actually got shot into fame for being so handsome. However, after a few days, it seems like his sudden high support not only originates from his son, or from his son, from things that happen from his son, but also his replies on various different people as being very interactive and at the same time very nutrition free, or just literally just the aim for this whole discussion is to just let you laugh. So there are also some more formal discussions on what should have done more. While this also, as discussed previously, this included a TikTok ban, which unfortunately would be impossible to be carried out from now onwards, as basically the DPP would not or are not controlling the party itself, or are not controlling the executive yuan, or not controlling the legislative yuan, which means that they would not be unable to exert full control on all three on the two branches of elected officials. Please subscribe to our podcast so don't miss a single episode. If you have any feedback, please let us know in the comments or drop us an email at william@dragonianpod.com. Thanks again for listening. We will be back next week with more news from Hong Kong and Taiwan. Have a safe, prosperous, and happy week ahead.